How about now? How about now? Ah, uh, ah. All right. That's the dumbest thing ever. All right. So here's what happened. Oh my God. So the first 7 minutes are basically nothing. So tell you what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and restart. So because I can do that and because we have fancy effects. And then I'll explain what happened when we come back on the other side. So here's Nick's fancy bumper. Okay, so now that we got that figured out, all right, so let's start the show since it is Friday.
Well,
Come on, man.
Ants! Ants!
Go for it, dude.
It's Friday! Friday! Friday!
Mm-hmm. All right. Hi. Now that we have audio, I was trying to figure out, okay, so if it's not the headset, then I went back into the settings here into our platform that we use to broadcast out. And after the match last night, where we had the twos, and the twos will be opening kickoff here coming up in just a little bit, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com, to broadcast outbound on our Mixler platform. You have to change your input to say that, yeah, we're going out on Mixler through the audio and not through this particular setup. Mixler kind of takes over the audio setup. And so it took over the audio setup last night when we did the twos and we did Crown Legacy. And so that was still there this morning, even though I wasn't on the Mixler board. So I figured it out. Holy ish. Oh my God. So that was basically what was going on. Mixler kind of overtakes everything, and it didn't reset after the game last night. So there you go. Hi. Christ. All right. So good morning. It's Friday. And so here's the rundown. After 7 minutes of silence where I'm troubleshooting, that just made for fantastic radio, I'm sure. Here's the rundown. In 15 minutes, we'll see if our friends from Beyond Goals Mentoring can join us for the Friday Free Kick. Then after that, hour number 2 is Weekend Whiparound, patent pending, trademark coming sooner, hopefully rather than later. We'll go through all of the news. We'll go through your setup. We've got Atlanta United and Red Bulls. We've got all the stuff in the other leagues overseas. Manchester City and Arsenal are going this weekend. Vincent Kompany has proposed a cap on the number of matches that anybody should play in any given season, because remember, we have players over in Europe that are taking the European competitions to court because there's just too many damn games. And so we'll see what happens there. But apparently you can still play in the English leagues, even if you're taking the European competitions to court. So we'll get into that coming up in just a little bit. All right. Opening kickoff. Once again, no dilly, no dally. And thanks for sitting around all of the crud that I was trying to sort through this morning. And troubleshooting. So, but we should mark this day that I actually did troubleshoot effectively and figure out what the heck was going on. All right. Opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. That's your QR code for those of you who are hanging out with us, however you are doing so, large device or small, either on the Twitch, on the 280 character app, or on the YouTubes. That is where you are. You can hit that QR code and start your day with Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. When you check out, don't forget to use the code soccer down here 15 and get 15% off your purchase. They in turn take 10%, reinvest it, youth games, youth initiatives, things that they earmark as cool. Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. All right, last night It was the Twos and Crown Legacy. You got to see that match on MLSNextPro.com, and you got to listen to it here on the SDH network. I had the call for it last night, and the task was simple. I mean, the task was laid out for the Twos. It's not simple by any stretch of the imagination, but the task was laid out. You had to win every match going in. 9 points out, 3 matches to go. You had to win them all in regulation and get to your tiebreakers in MLS Next Pro and hope that you could work your way through, because you would have been tied with Crown Legacy in the number of wins. So you had to win out. Everybody else had to stumble. You couldn't have anybody go any higher than 40 points, and you could have been the 8th seed. But after what happened last night, goalless after 90 minutes, and it goes to the penalty kick shootout. So both teams end up with a point. Crown Legacy gets the extra point. Alan Carlton's penalty kick save is missed in the middle, and the regular season will be it for the Twos here in 2024. So public service announcement, home finale is Tuesday at the Fraction, 7:30. We'll have that one on the network for you. Pregame at 7 o'clock and kickoff a little after 7:30 if you can't make it to the Fraction. But I would ask, and I will continue to ask between now and Tuesday, that if you got nothing going on, and even if you might, and you can finish it early, or even if you finish it maybe a little after 7:30, go to the Fraction, go watch Atlanta United 2 in the last home match of the year, and you can continue to see the future building for Atlanta United 2 and for Atlanta United as an organization. Messi and Friends 2 are coming to town, and they are above Atlanta. They are above Atlanta United 2 in the standings. So the Twos can act as spoiler with the Baby Herons coming to town on Tuesday night up at the Fraction. So that's your task. If you're in that part of town, go watch and show your support for the Twos for the last home match of the year. The last match of the season is the day after Philadelphia's home game against Atlanta United on the 28th. 29th, 3 o'clock in the afternoon in Chester, Atlanta United 2 and Philadelphia Union 2. And that will be it for the regular season for Atlanta United 2 in 2024. A lot of things to talk about as we go. But last night, as we get through the stats, as we go through the stats that are available, the biggest stat that sticks out, Jaden Hibbert again literally stands on his head. And it is just insane to see what Jaden Hibbert has been doing recently with Atlanta United 2. It was the only match last night in MLS Next Pro. The Crown Legacy won at 5-3 in penalties. Stats on the day, Jaden Hibbert had 12 saves. 12 saves for Jaden Hibbert. He had 4 in the first 4 minutes. The first quarter of the match, Crown Legacy was in charge, but Jaden Hibbert was there answering every challenge, and it was just insane. Jaden Hibbert once again continues to show the faith that was invested in him when Atlanta United had their number 1 draft pick, the first-round draft pick, on Jaden Hibbert, 19th overall in the last draft. And you're seeing how he has continued to grow, how he's continued to evolve, and nothing's getting past him unless it's a penalty kick situation. Full extension, great parries, great angles. They're all there. Last night, Jaden Hibbert had 12 saves and kept Atlanta United in it in regulation. So it was another double-digit save night for Jaden Hibbert. You kind of run out of superlatives at points for a guy like Jaden Hibbert. And it is crazy what we're seeing from Jaden Hibbert and the level of investment that has been seen. A lot of credit. Steve Cook will be the first person to sit there and say a lot of credit goes to Lewis Sharp, the keeper coach for the Twos. And to be able to see Jaden Hibbert grow this season. And there were 2 things that I think you can earmark as elements of the continued growth of Jaden Hibbert. 1, the call up for international duty. Yes, I know that he wasn't getting any game reps because some guy named Andre Blake is ahead of him in the pecking order for the Jamaican national team, the senior national team. But it all seemed to turn, and we'll catch up with our buddy Kaylor Hodges on Tuesday Tuesday becomes the new time slot for our friends from the USL show. And I think Kaler has said that he can hide effectively in his school on a Tuesday morning and be on the show with us. But the loan spell that Jaden Hibbert had to Birmingham Legion, Birmingham had like 0 goalies. And like I said, this is where we can talk to Kaler to refresh this story on Tuesday. So Van Okel injured, Spangenberg injured, and their third keeper was injured as well. It's like there was something in there. Spangenberg couldn't do anything. Van Okel was injured, and their third keeper, I think, there were issues there. But we'll have Kaler go through the story. But Jaden Hibbert was called for a loan spell over to Birmingham Legion. Goes over there, starts like 4 matches in a row. Comes back, and he seems like his aura is different. He's an entirely different dude. And he's taken that entirely different dudeness that he found when he was with Legion, applies it with Atlanta United too, and you're seeing the benefits of the results. So if for some reason Jaden Hibbert is not first team and chasing after a first team spot next season, he better damn well be at Goalie Wars at the very least. One of the most highly touted keepers, I will say, in MLS Next Pro coming up at the end of this season and through heading into 2025, if he is not in a first team position next season with Atlanta United, which he should be. He should be in the discussion. And it will be intriguing to see how Jaden Hibbert continues to grow. But Jaden Hibbert last night, 12 saves on, let me get the numbers right, 12 saves on 30 shots. The numbers were adjusted after we went off the air last night. So 30 shots by Crown Legacy, 13 on target, 12 saves for Jaden Hibbert. 10 blocks for Crown Legacy last night, 3 for Atlanta United 2. 4 shots on target for the twos. But so 4 shots on target for the twos, 10 blocks for Crown Legacy, to give you an idea as to how things were inside the 18 for both of these teams. So for Crown Legacy, 30 shots, 13 shots on goal, 10 blocks for Crown Legacy. Atlanta United 2 had 15 shots, 4 shots on target, 3 blocks. So Jaden Hibbert came up big again last night. It seems like a sentence that we just can, pull out of the cupboard, sit there and plaster it and go, Jaden Hibbert came up big. We were able to see that again last night. 12 saves for Jaden Hibbert, 4 for Chituro Odunze, and Crown Legacy gets the extra point in, and they get the extra point in the shootout by winning it 5-3. So that sets up the standings in the Eastern Conference, and I'll go through the standings here in the East and get everybody laid out here as to where things are, and we can continue to follow. And you can also catch up on SDH on MLS Next Pro, which will come out later this afternoon. SC Cincinnati 2 is in at 48 points. Philadelphia Union 2 is at 46. They each have 3 matches to go. 2 matches for OCB. They're at 43 points. And like I said, here's the chaos that's going on. And we always talk about chaos in the Eastern Conference and MLS. Same for MLS Next Pro, except it's above the playoff bar. OCB's at 43 points. Baby Herons are at 42. NYCFC's at 42 with 2 less wins. Crew 2 is at 10 wins and 42 points. And then Crown Legacy is at 42 points and 10 wins, 2 matches to go. So you have per game average of points. First off, Baby Herons have 12 wins, so that puts them at the top through the tiebreakers. Per match average of points, equal for NYCFC and Columbus because they each have 3 matches to go and they each have 10 wins. NYC has a better goal difference at plus, and they have plus 5 in goal difference, and they've also scored 2 more goals. So NYCFC, Columbus Crew 2. Crown Legacy, with 2 matches to go, has a worse per match points average to start with 10 wins. And they also have less goals scored, and they also have a worse goal difference than the other 2 teams. So Crown Legacy's in 7th with the win. They're with the shootout win. They're at 42 points. Fire are at 41, and they are 8th. Had Atlanta United won out, they would have been at 40, and that's with the target number. They could not have anybody north of 40 points. But with the 2 points last night, Crown Legacy gets 42. Chicago's at 41. They hopscotch the 40-point line, and that's why Atlanta United 2's playoff hopes ended last night. Below the playoff bar, Chattanooga FC is at 38, and Carolina Core is at 37. So basically what you have from 3 to 10 is teams separated by 2 wins with 3 matches to go, or 2 matches to go if you're OCB and Crown Legacy. Toronto FC 2 is at 34 points. Red Bulls 2 are at 33. Atlanta United 2 is at 32 points. And Huntsville City's at 26. New England Revolution 2 are at 21. So that's the Eastern Conference. But we'll get everything in MLS Next Pro on SDH on MLS Next Pro. That'll be out later this afternoon. You'll get the highlights of the chaos that happened with Atlanta United 2 and Huntsville City and other action around the league, and we'll get you squared away for the weekend in MLS Next Pro. But the superlatives continue for Jaden Hibbert in this situation. And you can literally, when Jarrett can come back on and we can discuss the twos more in depth, I mean, literally you can sit here and look at the growth of the academy players. You can see how players like Javi Armas and Noble Okello and Kareem Tamimi were the experienced anchors. Nick Firmino continuing to try to chase after a first-team spot. But you got to see Aiden Torres away on international duty this go-around. But to see Caden Moore, Aiden Torres, Matt Edwards, Jacob Williams, to see guys like Ethan Dudley and Ramsey Kawazmi come in because of injury and continue to contribute. Javi Armas, Noble Okello, Alan Carlton really came into his own this season. And Alan Carlton frustrated a lot of folks last night in the other jersey. And to see Alan Carlton continue to have a game evolve where he is putting folks in the spin cycle and frustrating defenders and those kinds of things. It's a fun watch to see Alan Carlton do things, to see Matias Gajardo getting regular minutes, to see, what we saw last night out of a lot of folks and what we've seen all season long, frankly, with a lot of folks. It's been a fun run to see the evolution of these players with Atlanta United too. And, to have guys come in and contribute when they can, you end up with like a Matthew DeJaney who could come in and give you a couple of games. You see the starting lineup last night, just to give you an idea. Jaden Hibbert, Dominic Chong-Kui, also in the last half of the season. DCQ coming into his own at left back for Atlanta United too, showing no fear. So it was DCQ, Caden Moore, Ethan Dudley, Ramsey Kawazmi. Eric Centeno really coming into his own defensively. Disappointing that obviously he had an injury that kept him out of the last couple of matches. And, seeing how his game has continued to go. Noble Okello, Nick Firmino, Javi Armas, Gajardo, Tamimi, and Carlton last night. The bench, Ashton Gordon. To see Ashton Gordon continue to grow. Cooper Sanchez getting to grow. Stephen Herlock putting in quality minutes when asked to, and showing a lot of veteran savvy at points when he needs to in game state. And then finding somebody like a Rodrigo Neri who came in, and Neri jumping into the middle of the fray, getting the points and the goals that he did at Huntsville, and then trying to integrate and grow. Obviously, there's a future there for Rodrigo Neri as well, so we'll keep an eye on all of that. But a lot of folks, we got to see them continue to grow and head toward those next stages. But you look at a guy like Jaden Hibbert, and obviously it's a piece that you can sit there and gravitate toward for obvious reasons. But just unbelievable work that we saw once again from Jaden Hibbert. And I think, and like I said, and I legitimately think that that loan spell in Birmingham flipped a switch. And I know that we use that term, we use that term a lot when I know it's a cliche alert and it's probably $1 in the jar, but to see a guy like Jaden Hibbert hit those buttons and just hit that next stage. And so where do you grow from here? Not where do you go from here, but where do you grow from here? For a lot of the guys that I just mentioned in a rapid fire form, you've got 2 matches here in the regular season. What do you do in those 2 matches? That to me is another question. So, and Steve Cook brought it up in the pregame show last night. You've got these matches left in your season, but once again, you have veterans who might be playing for the veterans are playing for next season, whether it's in Atlanta, whether it's someplace else. You have the younger players who are trying to impress inside the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta training ground. So what are they going to be up to next year? Where are they going to be? Are they going to continue their path inside this building, or are they going to be looked at by other folks? So you have 2 matches to continue to make impressions here in the regular season. Once again, Tuesday night at the Fraction, 7:33 kick. We'll have pregame show at 7 o'clock here on the network with Maddie and Jason as they carry you through the last home match of the year. If you can go, please go. I don't know how many times I'll be able to say that this morning, but I will say it today. I will say it on Monday. I will say it on Tuesday. If you can go, please go. And check out the Twos and show your support for the Twos and what they are continuing to do and continuing to grow as we go here in 2024. It is after 9:30 on a Friday morning. And when they are not traveling the planet, when they are anchored in one location, when we can pin them down, when we can grab the comet by the proverbial tail, when we can hold out our hands with open fingers and find the raindrops and grab them and have them collect into our palms and able to track down our friends from Beyond Goals Mentoring, it's very, very cool that we get to do that. And so that means that I get to roll a fancy open and bring in Greg Garza here on a Friday. How are you, my friend?
Good morning. Good morning.
You're indoors this time. Where are
I'm
you?
indoors. I was outdoors and it was too hot. Came in.
So was the sun directly shining upon the Greg Garza outdoor studio?
Yes.
And so, discretion being the better part of valor, you decided to come in and hang out with us this morning, and we definitely
get a little bit of air conditioning for sure.
As always, we appreciate that kind of stuff when you can take time out of your hyper busy schedule to come and hang out with us, whether it's doing stuff with Major League Soccer and making sure that everyone's on the same page off the field when it comes to their teammates and everything. I want to do a couple of things because I kept your notes. I kept your notes from last time.
Okay.
And I want to get into this, but I want to hold my breath for a second on that. Since you spent some time with the national team, I want to go there. I want to talk about them and Atlanta United. So, new coach for the national team in Mauricio Pochettino. It appears that 2 hedge fund dudes helped out to make sure that they could pay what Pochettino was looking for. What do you think about Pochettino now being a part of things with U.S. Soccer?
I like it. It's another. It's the biggest hire since Klinsmann, right? So
a lot of
look at it.
Be bigger than that.
Yeah, for sure. You're looking at a coach who has maybe not had as much success, but somebody who is very what's the right word for it? Somebody who has, I guess you could say, a lot of potential.
Yeah.
On the rise, somebody who has a say, somebody who I feel like is really going to put their foot down on a lot of different things. And so I think that in changing the mindset, and what all these players keep saying is we need somebody to come in and change the mindset, need somebody to come in and change the mindset, need somebody to come in and change the mindset. This is what better person could you get? An Argentinian, right? All the success I had within my careers was always with Argentinian coaches. And they don't play no games. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
They don't play no games. That's the direct quote, huh?
Yep.
I mean,
yeah.
They're gonna let you know what they think. They're gonna let you know what their expectations are. They're going to sit there and it's like, all right, you might have been with me or someone who is of Argentinian descent in a team situation. This is a national team situation. Capital N, capital T. We ain't messing around here. That's the vibe that I'm getting from you.
Don't argue with an Argentinian. I'll just say that. My coach, one of my coach in Tijuana always put it. He said, "Look, in Argentina we had Diego Maradona, Lionel Messi, and God." Those are the 3 Argentinians that you need to pay attention to.
And not in that order, I imagine, though, right?
Oh no, not in that order. Yeah. Probably in the order that I just gave it.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that is not a surprise. And the reason that I asked you first about men's national team goes to our notes from last time. And like I said, I wrote it down from 2 weeks ago. And it has to do with a couple of things that you said. Quoting Greg in the US, we are too nice. We are too nice nationally as Americans and possibly representing ourselves out on the field as a U.S. national team or a U.S. representative. So having an Argentinian as a coach, I would posit the idea that it might twist that being too nice to not necessarily needing to be too nice. At least I would think that would be the path that we're going down here.
Yeah, I think he'll for sure change the mindset of a lot of these guys. You have the good old saying in Spanish, you got to play with the knife between the teeth. That's what they say.
Garra. Yes.
Cuchillo entre los dientes. That's definitely a saying that they kind of live by, and I'm sure that's something that he will implement.
Can you translate that effectively without getting us into trouble?
Yeah, knife between the teeth.
Oh, okay.
Right? It's
Okay.
yeah. I'm not going to translate it. I remember I just had a couple of coaches whenever I played in Mexico that you would just look over at the bench and they would just be like this. And you just kind of shake your head and be like, okay, I know what to do.
Yeah.
I know how to be. Yeah.
I got to dial it up all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And that got into note number 2 and 3 from last time that you were here. Actually, since I'm left-handed, I guess I should do that.
I love it.
The world of the ethical dilemma and being malicious without malice.
Wow. That's a good one.
Yeah, you you wrote it down. You say you talked about it, and it was toward the end of a segment, and I'm like, oh, I better write this down for next time. So,
yeah,
the idea of being malicious without malice, and the idea of the ethical dilemma when it comes to the ethical dilemma and having these kinds of discussions with your mentees. I guess at the surface level, to start things off, do they understand the idea of having an ethical dilemma and trying to get past it out on the field?
I'll give a great example. This is using my own son, right? Great example. I remember there was a play probably about 2 years ago, maybe 2 years ago, and he shot the ball, went out we were winning 1-0. His team was winning 1-0. And it is, I think, like the final couple minutes of the game.
Okay.
Right. And he shot the ball, hit the post, and went out of bounds. And he could have gone and got it. And I think he was about to go and get it, and he was about to give it to the goalie. And I screamed. I said, leave it. Go back to your position and leave it. Let the goalie get it, right? It's the last couple of minutes of the game. Let the goalie get it. It's their ball. Don't get it. Mm-hmm. And I remember I had a parent from the other team scream, way to teach your kid sportsmanship. And that to me is just, that's the maliciousness without malice. Because if you go to anywhere else in the world and watch soccer, these kids at 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, if that ball goes out of bounds and they're winning 1-0, they're going to fake stretch like they're doing a quad stretch, and they're going to let that ball roll right by. And that to me is just like, that is the thing that I think we need to teach Americans, that you'll do anything to win, right? That's not, that to me is not evil, right? That's not evil. That has nothing to do with sportsmanship, in my opinion. That is finding the littlest, smallest of details to try and win a game. And that's something that I think, if you watch Copa America, right?
Yeah.
If you watch Copa America, that those guys are doing anything and everything they can to win. Now, are they cheating? No. Was that moment right there a teaching lesson to tell my son, hey, that's cheating? No, because it's not cheating. It's their ball, right? You don't have to be the kid that's going to take the ball. You're not losing. You don't have to get the ball and take it back and put it on the 6-yard box, right? To now make play go by quicker, you're winning. Let the time go by slower. Or right? You just take your time. It's like when a corner kick goes, us as parents or us as coaches sometimes or as kids, you're winning the ball and the ball goes out for a corner kick, and an American kid,
Mm-hmm.
every American kid that I watch, they will sprint over to get the ball and they'll put it on the corner, and you're winning 1-0 and you have 3 minutes left. Well, I remember the second I moved to Brazil and that happened, I probably would have gotten taken out, been the next sub, because the coach would have said, hey, the next time the ball goes out for a corner kick and you're winning 1-0, I want you to walk as slow as you can.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that to me is not malicious. That to me is right, maliciousness without malice. Right. And I think those are the little nuances that I think other cultures can teach us to understand. And I think that's probably a huge asset of what Pochettino will probably give these guys, right? Even from a professional level, I think it trickles down, right? And I think that's a huge piece of it. To really, in my personal opinion, it is doing it. I heard the saying the other day, and it says there is a winning mentality that most kids and most people have, a winning mentality, and then beyond the winning mentality is the domination mentality.
Okay.
And it was talking about professional athletes having a domination mentality. You don't want to just win. You want to absolutely dominate. And that is even if you're playing against, right, or you're competing with your teammates, right? If I'm competing with my teammates or my old teammates, and we're doing whatever the silliest of soccer tennis games, right? We're playing soccer tennis. I want to dominate my friend in soccer tennis, right? And I think that's the mentality that I think we need to bring within the national team to just find a way to do anything possible within their hands, without cheating, without being evil, but by winning. And I think that's a huge step that I personally think Pochettino will bring to the team.
Because I would posit that there is a difference between sportsmanship and gamesmanship and being at the front of soccer etiquette and being prim and proper and like, yes, we have to do things this way because they've done it this way for 5 centuries, and but there's a difference between sportsmanship, gamesmanship, and being a dominant individual out there. And I think that you can integrate two of three of those at the same time. You can be dominant and you can have gamesmanship. You can be dominant and have sportsmanship. You can have gamesmanship and still have sportsmanship. So I think you can take two of those three at any given time and still be as highly successful as you feel like you need to be.
And I think there are moments, even when I watch youth soccer, that I just give another example of even that, of watching kids there. You might be winning 2-1 and there's a counterattack for the other team. And in your mind, you have these parents or you have your coach telling you, don't foul, right? Well, mine is, it's okay to foul if there's a counterattack. Professional foul, pull his jersey,
absolutely.
pull his jersey from behind, right? Stop the counterattack. And if you need to receive a yellow, you receive a yellow. It's okay. It's a warning. A yellow card is a warning, right? Just don't do it again, right? But you've taken you've taken something for the team. And that's you're not being evil in that moment. You're not coming from behind and absolutely swiping some kid from his feet and just kicking him as hard as you can. No, you're creating a professional foul to try and give an advantage for your team to hopefully. That's why I say you're doing anything and everything you can to win. And that is something that I think if I were to go to Spain or Brazil or any other place in the world, in the United States, pretty much.
Yeah.
But you see it quite often there, right? You see these kids already having, because I think they watch so much. They watch they're so used to seeing those things within the game that they watch, and we don't have that, right? We don't have that within us. For them, it's it embodies their culture of doing anything and everything to win, even from a very young age.
You're reading my notes, because the word I was going to use was cultural, and it seems like it is a cultural thing in the United States, that regardless of what we're talking about here, we have to be the ones that play by the rule book. We have to be the ones that stand the straightest and sit there and point at the rule book and go, well, these are the rules of engagement, and these are the rules that are written. Therefore, these are the rules that they are. And like I said, we could be talking sports, we could be talking
Yeah.
business or whatever. But these are the rules, and these are the rules that we have to abide by as the guy in the white hat. But culturally, I think that, and it's easy to see from what you mentioned with all of the countries that all the different leagues that are out there now that we can watch, that we have access to, that it's not one of those situations where you have to wear the white hat all the time. There's nothing wrong with the good guy who's got that little streak of wearing the dark stripe every once in a while. There's nothing wrong with that if you are chasing after an achievement, and other folks are doing it, but you got to, we have to be too nice. We've got to be the white hat all the time. It seems like it's a cultural thing.
I spoke to a mentee yesterday, a girl, and I told her, look, this weekend I want you to play a chip on your shoulder with a chip on your shoulder,
Mm-hmm.
but also be compassionate. Right? You can be both. You can
Okay.
still play with a chip on your shoulder, and you can know that you are right the bomb, but you can still be compassionate, and you can still be compassionate towards your teammates and be a great leader. But give me the ball. I'll resolve it. Right? Give me the ball. I'll take care of this. And I think that's the mentality that I think I want a lot of these kids to they can take on that responsibility and sometimes put that pressure on their shoulders, because it holds them accountable to a certain extent, but it helps them mature and it helps them grow in a certain way. And so I like putting that pressure on kids sometimes, because I feel like in their minds, and we always talk about this sometimes with kids, and just I use the younger generations because I think from a soccer perspective, we are still so far away from, this is my personal opinion, from winning a World Cup.
Yeah.
We're so far away. But because I think those are still like the little nuances and the little things that I think it needs to start from a very young age, to start teaching these things that is, and I guess, the word will always come back to hunger. Right. And I think that to me is, I think, something that you see in other cultures, you see in other places. There's a hunger from the very get-go. And I just don't see that with soccer yet. I see it with other sports within the States, but not with soccer yet. And I think once we develop that hunger, I think that things will change.
Well, I would sit there and say that probably because those sports were here first and they've been here longer, that you have those mentalities attached to those sports. And the longer that soccer is here, the more it becomes ingrained, the more that it becomes a part of the fabric of what we see on a daily basis. Then that idea will continue to rise and be a part of things in soccer. I would venture to guess that would be the case.
I would assume so. And I think that's, if you speak to kids who travel the world or go play soccer in other places, although they might not be playing at a higher level in the other places, but every time they come back, I'll always ask them, all these kids that go to, Europe or South America during the summer, and I'll always ask them, what's the biggest difference? Like, we loved it. It was so great, man. Those kids, they want it more than anything. And my question is, well, why don't you want it more than anything? You have to want it more. You can do this. You can have the same mentality, just in a different environment, in a different location, and it's okay to have that mentality. And so, I think that's a massive lesson for all of us. And just going back to our national team head coach, I think that is the mindset that he will try. I don't know if he will be successful, but that he will try, and strive to implement within the team that we have right now.
How hard is it to pull the want-to gene out of a mentee?
The want-to gene of just like wanting it more than anything.
Yeah, basically there's a Southern expression. It's about the want to, and it's it's like, well, you see someone who is allegedly not performing to what adults have as a standard for a teenager. That
Yeah.
the want to isn't there, So how
Yeah.
difficult is it to pull the want to out of a mentee?
I always try and like pick their brains a bit and get them to understand, obviously the game is very mental, right? It is. I always tell kids, I think it's 100% mental. But it can only be 100% mental if you also have heart.
Yeah.
Right. And if your heart's not in it, and that grit, and like you said, that want, that desire, that will, that love, that passion, then the brain is most likely not going to be in it. So before your mental game can play a massive piece, there has to be heart. And so I think that's a huge component. That's a huge way that I try and explain to kids the best way possible for them to understand that. But I can't teach that.
Yeah.
Right. I can teach them things to use as self-talk. I can teach them things in ways to be a great leader. I can teach them ways in understanding that life is not fair. I can't teach heart. That's something I can't teach. That's something I can talk about. But like I always tell them, and we've talked before about the bamboo tree, right? I can only plant the seed. The rest is up to them to water it each and every day. And that's that grit, that's that heart that you have behind it.
When you see as a mentor the bamboo tree grow, when you get to see as a mentor, you get to see that want to come out. You get to see the heart. You get to see the gara come out from a mentee that you've been trying to sit there and just have a conversation when it's like, hey, if it's there, I know it's there. When you get to see all of that come out of a mentee, what does that mean to you and Parky when you get to see something like that happen?
It's great because in my personal opinion, it is knowing that 99%, right? 99% of that kid's future is not going to be in professional soccer. And so, well, 99.9, right? But it's coming to an understanding that whatever that kid does, he or she will have that mentality to tackle their tasks ahead of them, right? To want to accomplish those tasks that they have ahead of them. And that's the biggest message. That's the biggest message in wanting them to understand that if they have college ahead, if they have entrepreneurship ahead, if they have a managing position ahead, if they have an industrial worker ahead, it doesn't matter whatever they become, that they will have tasks ahead of them each and every day. And I know in that moment, whatever this kid does, he or she is going to be able to accomplish those tasks, those given tasks. And that's the most gratifying thing for us, I think, and seeing that and noticing that, and also just helping them understand, the challenges that will come along with it. And I think that's an interesting piece of it as well.
Hanging out with Twitterless Greg Garza here on the Friday Free Kick here on the SDH Network on the morning show. Before you came on, I was talking about Atlanta United 2. And last night they lose in a penalty kick shootout. The way the points are allotted in MLS Next Pro is 3 points for a win, 1 point for a draw, and if you win in penalties after the fact, you get an extra point.
Okay.
Atlanta,
so every game goes into penalties.
Every game, if
you win.
If it's drawn after 90 minutes, then it goes into PKs. If it's decided in 90 minutes, it's 3 points to the winner.
Okay.
If it's a draw after 90 minutes, if each team gets a point, but then you go to penalties and the winner in penalties gets an extra point for winning.
Gotcha.
They call it a shootout win.
Okay.
Atlanta United 2, 3 matches to go in the regular season. Last night, they go to Charlotte to take on Charlotte FC's MLS Next Pro team. They don't win in regulation, and they end up losing in penalties. And so they needed to win their last 3 and get some tiebreakers to get into the postseason. So regular season is it for Atlanta United 2. But what I wanted to discuss with you before we go is, okay, so there are still 2 matches left in their regular season. And there are still things that those players whomever Steve Cook chooses to be a part of the game day 18s and then the 11s on Tuesday and then on the 29th. The season isn't over, even though in wins and losses and a postseason, it's over. When you still have things to show with only a handful of games left, when there is no postseason for you,
Nothing for fighting for. Yeah.
right. So then how difficult is that to keep the light switch on so you can continue to show, hey, I'm improving, hey, I deserve to hang around here, or I'm playing for my job in these last two matches. And that's the big thing here. How do you impress upon mentees and other individuals and peers around you, hey, just because a task down the line is not attainable doesn't mean that you should just stop doing what you're doing?
The message I would give every single one of those kids is that your season is over, right? But don't let your career be over.
Mm-hmm.
Because maybe these last two games are the determining factor of your soccer career. Because that's how quickly it can change. That's
Right.
how quickly it can go in a snap of a finger in 2 games. Your career can be over in 2 games. So that would be the message that I would give. It's totally up to them. Is their season over? Yeah, but it's up to you personally if you want your career to be over. And so if you're switched on and you can continue to show within 2 games and kind of be those your trial moments, how are you going to prepare yourself for those trials? How are you going to try and perform within those trials to continue to have a livelihood, to have a job? I think that's extremely important. Now, I know a lot of those kids, I believe, are with 2s, and I think a lot of them might already be committed to colleges, right? So
there are a handful, yeah.
A handful of kids. So, I mean, for those kids, I think it's more so just getting minutes under their belt and maybe that experience to prepare them for what's next. But if there are a few players on that team that have the opportunity to continue to, whether it be play for Atlanta United 2 or go somewhere else within MLS Next Pro, then, or even USL or another MLS team, then these are your footage moments and clip moments to start compiling, and you have 2 games to do it. So you're creating the opportunity for yourself.
All right. As you fight the lawnmowers and the handymen that are doing all the work outside with the leaf blowers today, and it sounds like you're fighting grass allergies with everything.
I've been dying with allergies since the fall, man. It's killing me. I feel like I'm talking out of my nose.
Well, it is a very nice bass, nasally Greg Garza hanging out with us this morning. I know that you're probably going to want to go hang upside down for about 4 hours after you're done talking. What's going on with you and Parky and Beyond Goals? I know that the high school's kind of getting ready. Colleges are off and running. What's going on?
Same old, still plugging away and creating new ideas to continue to grow the game. And like I always say, give back to the game that gave so much to us.
Loving it. At BG Mentoring, Beyond Goals Mentoring on the World Wide Web and on the interwebs and all that kind of stuff. Go hang upside down, fight those allergies. We'll catch up with you soon, my friend. I'm glad I saved our notes about sportsmanship, gamesmanship.
Love it.
And all that kind of stuff. We'll catch up with you soon, my friend.
Thank you, brother. Take care.
All right. That's Greg Garza and his nose. And so it's great to catch up with Greg and Cap and find out what's going on. Because, I mean, Greg, wow. It did sound like he was hanging upside down with everything. I mean, it sounded like he truly was just And full disclosure, okay. Full disclosure, story time with John. Well, we do have weekend Whiparound patent pending trademark coming here sooner, hopefully, rather than later here in, yes, absolutely. Bart quoting one of the best football coaches known to mankind, Jimmy McGinty. We got to have heart. Miles and miles of heart. Quoting Jimmy McGinty, they've got to have heart to come back in this game. And they did on Thanksgiving, beating the Dallas Ropers. Washington Sentinels for life. One of the best football movies ever. There is no tomorrow for you, which makes you very dangerous people. I need those drops now. Man, Bart bringing back frickin' Jimmy McGinty. Best football movie unedited ever. And when they edit the replacements, by the way, it is so bad. It is so bad. Ohio State quarterback Shane Falco. Number 13 in your program, number 1 in your heart, Shane Falco. Absolutely, Shane Falco. Morning, David. And by the way, full disclosure, I know this will shock you. I have more Washington Sentinels movie prop gear than probably anybody else on the planet. I have, from that movie, in my stacks of stuff, a Miami Barracudas coach's polo. I have a Dallas Ropers coach's polo and a Dallas Ropers hat right there hanging on the train track. I have a lot of Washington Sentinels stuff. Everything from the zip-up sweat jacket to the T-shirts and all of that stuff. And, I mean, it's like legit extras memorabilia stuff. It's not like stuff that was reproduced and shipped from the Far East. This is like legit stuff from the movie. I have it here in Office HD. I wear it occasionally when I feel like I'm in the mood to bust out my zip up sweat jacket. I mean, literally, it says Washington. It's Washington Sentinels, and it's got the Sentinels logo right there. Best football movie ever. And oh, wow, that reminds me. Oh, this is really going to, yeah, speaking of which, I'm going to put my headset down for a second. Unrelated to the situation, but now that Bart brought it up. All right. So remember the tight end in the movie. And like I said, if you haven't seen the movie, I would recommend it and see the unedited version. He went to Gallaudet. No lie. This popped up in my mail the other day. Gallaudet, home of the huddle. There you go. So I have Gallaudet football gear as a part of my stacks. By the way, Gallaudet football, they got approval for the OSG Sports College Football X and for the review, which is on the OSG Sports side of things. By the way, it's on the other network here, the other channel here in the network. They got approval for that ocular technology, but they couldn't install it in all 3 football helmets because the first string and the second string QBs were injured and they were in those helmets. They couldn't install it in the third string quarterback's helmet in time for last week. But they have that technology that we saw in the AT&T ad where they can go tablet to eyepiece and signal in the plays. Very, very cool. Very cool. David said, thought of that the other day with the NFL QB not throwing a pass because his center threw up on it. Yeah, I think it was Malik Willis. Yeah, look, Jumbo, you don't have raw eggs before you play. But they were doing something together in the huddle. They were huddling and moving from one hash mark to the other. Yeah, go watch the replacements. Was it Brooke Langton? Yeah, Brooke Langton. Very, very cool. He's making out with the cheerleaders. What are they going to do, Pat? Fire him? Absolutely. Very, very cool. Okay, anyway, on that tangent, and that means now, I got to write this down before I forget. Jimmy McGinty drops. Jimmy McGinty drops. Okay. All right. Jarrett's here. Hour number 2, weekend whiparound, patent pending, trademark coming sooner, hopefully rather than later. I got lost, and I blame Bart for this, Jarrett. We went down the replacements rabbit hole after Greg Garza came in and left us at 10 o'clock. So yeah, we were talking about the idea that American soccer players are too nice with Greg. And then now with Pochettino in and just being too nice and all that kind of stuff. And so Bart drops a Jimmy McGinty reference. And so I go down the replacements rabbit hole for a couple of minutes. So you haven't missed a whole lot other than I actually fixed a problem this week.
like a technical problem?
Yes.
Do tell.
The first 7 minutes of the show were like the Nixon tapes, and I couldn't figure out why. It's like, there was silence, and I was wondering why there was silence, and everybody else was not surprised there was silence, but there was silence on the show. I mean, all of the effects and everything and all the drops were fine, but no one could hear me talk, and some folks actually thought that was an improvement. But I felt compelled to troubleshoot the whole thing, and I actually troubleshooted what was wrong. I don't know how I went down this particular road. It was 7 minutes of silence instead of 7 seconds. But yeah, it was 7 minutes of silence, and I got it figured out. So the wrong input was queued on the StreamYard audio because of Mixler from last night, and so Mixler took over everything, and it didn't reset itself.
Well, so I'm like going back through I'm going through the sedimentary rock that is the chat, and then finding like Bart mentioning. Apparently, I missed the first hour.
You missed
Greg
talking
about yellow cards.
You missed the first 45 minutes, actually.
Yeah, well, yes, yellow cards aren't bad in the sense that we talked about earlier this week. I would have loved if someone had gotten a yellow card when Sam Surge tried to kill Pedro Amador, which good thing he did, because Pedro Amador was low-key your player of the game Wednesday night.
Yep, that is true.
So, yeah, don't the occasional yellow card's okay. It's just knowing how to manage the game before and after you get those yellow cards.
Yes.
Sometimes you gotta light somebody up.
Yeah, and just remind them about what's going on. So opening kickoff this morning was the 2s. And reminding everybody that the home finale is Tuesday. They needed to win out and get some tiebreakers in their behalf to get into the postseason as the 8 seed. Go to Crown Legacy last night. Traditionally a tough place to play up at Matthews. Goalless draw after 90, going into the shootout, losing the shootout, get 1 point when they needed 3. So two matches left for Atlanta United 2 in their 2024 season. But last night, once again, we got to see Jaden Hibbert go absolutely upside down, otherwise known as a regular day at the office for Jaden Hibbert, with 12 saves on the night.
Yeah, I've been vocal about this. We can continue to be vocal about this.
Yeah, man.
For me, like, if you want to give people a potentially a potential take, so to speak, Jaden Hibbert is coming sooner rather than later for that starting job with the first team. That doesn't mean he's going to come out of the gates and start 2025 preseason as the number 1.
Right.
But that boy's special. I think his distribution can still improve, but his shot stopping is great. He'll tell you probably he should have saved 1 or 2 of those penalties in the shootout. Where he guessed correctly on them, and just sometimes the bear gets you.
Yes.
He's been fantastic in the shootout. He's been fantastic shot stopper. Incredibly quick and athletic. Just legs are made of springs. Yeah, man. Jaden Hibbert is a nice piece because, look, you thought you had a plan, and you did have a plan when you had Vicente Reyes and Justin Garces. Garces had gone to UCLA. He'd come back. You had him as a homegrown. Garces just unable to stay healthy. His contract runs out, but we've talked about it before. It's hard to stay on the roster when you're on the training table. And Garces was a good kid. He just could not stay on the field. Knee injuries kept popping up for him. And then Vicente Reyes gets the offer to go to Norwich and takes it and is doing pretty well at last check. You'd love for him to have stayed here because I think he was catching up and passing Garces, especially with the injuries.
Yep.
But he gets that offer to go to England. It's hard to tell a kid, no, don't go to England to play. Stay here and play on the second team and then work your way into becoming the first team guy. And he got money to go to Norwich. It's going to happen. But when you lost that guy, you have other academy goalkeepers coming. But having Hibbert coming out of school, You got him signed. You got him playing with the twos immediately. You got him getting minutes. It was a good job of, we had a plan. That plan didn't finish up because of some things, injuries and transfers that we didn't necessarily expect.
Right.
But then you adjusted the plan. You went and got Hibbert in the draft, who has been very good. The MLS draft is still a crapshoot in the same sense that I am. Look, I'm happy to have anyone sectioned off for mental study if their philosophy is, well, just tank the rest of the year and get a high draft pick. It doesn't work that way in MLS.
No, it does not.
It doesn't work that way. Like this isn't the NBA where you've got like a life-changing player waiting for you at the 1-1. It's not. You can find talent there. Orlando has been suspiciously good at finding talent. Not to say they're bad at. Not to say it's like shady, but like they've been hitting blackjack repeatedly. And some teams care about the draft and some teams don't. I think Philadelphia, like, 1 year traded all their picks because their academy does the job for them. But I think that's a good situation where the draft can exist. Is that you can go get a supplemental piece, and in this case, it was a project goalkeeper. Obviously, Hibbert got me a little nervous early on. Yeah, it's like I say, he's not a finished product. I'm not saying he needs to start with the first team right now, but he fills that spot that you wanted for talent down the line. You have more goalkeepers coming as well. I don't know what Goose's offseason plan is, but you still have Josh Cohen as well in the fold. Mm-hmm. I think Hibbert is going to be pushing everyone in that organization, though.
Yeah,
going through 2025. And then you look, I mean, for the twos, this is a nut up time for the twos because it did the same thing last year. By the end of the season, you start getting more and more time together training. Results start turning positive, but by then it's too late. It's kind of a deja vu situation. Mm-hmm. But now you've got some of a lot of the guys you signed, a lot of them were on 1 year deals.
Yep.
Who were not academy guys and not from the inside. They're playing for their futures. They're playing for whatever tomorrow may bring. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see who's fighting for minutes for now and for next year, because some of your guys who were with the second team will be in preseason training with the first team with a chance to show something. Javi Armas with a chance to show something. Alan Carlton, who has blossomed in 2024 with a chance to really show something. Man, like Luke Brennan, I thought we would see a lot more of Luke Brennan with the second team this year, but because of injuries and quality, he's been getting a lot of run with the first team on the bench. Unfortunately, that hasn't produced minutes for him, and I think in a different world, I would like to have seen him get more minutes with the second team just to get on the field. Yeah. But I'm glad he has earned spots on the bench with the second team, or with the first team, excuse me. But I want to see Luke take those next steps. There's other guys, Eric Centeno, trying to figure out, where is Eric Centeno going to be next year? Yeah, Generation Adidas deal, I think, runs out this year. Kareem Tamimi's trying to make a life for himself. Neri came in and was absolutely wonderful, and that's a guy who was highly thought of coming out of Valencia's academy, with a chance to kind of, take a flyer on him, see what he can do. So there's still questions to answer with these last two games. Guys will be playing for contracts and guys will be playing for pride. Yeah, you got to make it stand up, though, but it's going to be two tough games.
Yep, and it is Baby Herons coming Tuesday night to the Fraction, and then on the 29th in Chester taking on Philadelphia Union 2. And it could be a big game for them as they're chasing FC Cincinnati 2 and trying to determine who's going to be the one, who's going to be the two, what seedings are going to look like. And yeah, just to remind folks, Firmino's contract is up at the end of this season. Efra's contract is there's a decision to be made for Efra New Year's Eve, and a decision to be made on Tyler Wolff as well. And then you start to get into the 25s. A decision to be made on Jay Fortune that has evolved into a no-brainer of a decision involving Jay Fortune. But
I better hope so.
Yeah,
better be a no-brainer decision.
Kazan, Dax, Jamal, Rios on the loan, Ronald, Nick, Efra, Tyler, Jay. Those are the contracts that end or have decisions on New Year's Eve?
Tyler, I don't think is. I don't. Man, my gut instinct is that Tyler is not part of the project going forward. He just hasn't been able to make it work consistently. Like the second half of last season was phenomenal from him. It hasn't carried over into 2024.
Yeah,
and you've got other homegrowns coming. You've got Luke coming, Ashton Gordon, who is going to play more on the wing, is not really a 9 per se.
Yeah.
As players get bigger and faster and stronger, like he's a winger. You've got him. You've got Luke.
Matt, Jacob, Aiden Torres, Caden Moore.
Aiden Torres, man. Aiden Torres is another guy that if somebody had lit up, if he had been on the field when Amador got lit up, Aiden Torres might have gotten sent off. Yeah, Aiden Torres is absolutely about that life. They're like, I think possibly a little more than like Ephra is. Where like if you want to go, Ephra will go.
Yes.
Like you name the time and the place, you drop the pin, he'll show.
He's got that. He's got Conma ball in him. So I mean, you get that.
Yeah. To Bart's point, Tyler could be a very good USLC player. I think so too. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up being like a Tristan Traeger.
Yeah.
Because Tristan Traeger played here with the Twos, was really good in their last year in USL. I remember after the Birmingham game here, like Kaylor Hodges walking up and just like, the hell did that kid come from? Oh yeah, he came from the military academy. It just took him a while to get over here because he was getting done with Air Force.
Yes.
Tristan Traeger was great. Goes to Charleston when Pierman takes over and just lights it up. Now I believe he's at Monterey Bay.
Yeah, he's at Monterey Bay.
Really good USL player. I think Tyler can be that. Can Tyler be more? Entirely possible. I think he's shown in flashes he can be, but it's about consistency at that level. I think his floor is a USLC player for sure.
Yeah.
And I think somebody would take a chance on him higher up. To Bart's point about I need winger depth, and the other youngins are been unproven. Yeah. That's I wanted to see more of Luke this year.
Yeah.
That was one of the reasons why. Because Luke has shown you some guts and some fight and is clever on the ball, and he has all the makings of it, but I need him getting more game time with live ammunition at an MLS level. Mosqueda was actually really good the other night. Mosqueda's thing is just maddening inconsistency. I think winger is going to be. I'm still. You're going to have 2 DP spots to play with. I'd love to see you go spend a bunch of money on a left wing, or however you want to do that. You want to get really weird, you could just go get a right winger or go get another 10 and play Maranchuk on the right wing.
Yeah.
And Saba on the left wing, and then flip them around as you see fit to invert them.
Yeah.
Although Maranchuk as a right winger, as an inverted right winger, just feels very dangerous all the time because of that left foot. You could always just get weird and go get another 10. And then go get a striker. But however you want to split that money up, you do you guys. But yeah, I think winger is someplace you've got to figure out. Is there is there an expansion draft this year?
San Diego.
Oh, thank you. That's why I pay you the big bucks, Uncle. Who do you leave exposed? That's a good question. And Abby, I don't know if Mosqueda stays. Like past his contract.
Yeah.
I like Mosqueda for what he is, but he is also wildly inconsistent. Yes, he's incredibly fast. There's been moments where, like, when he's on one, and you're like, oh, he's just dribbling people and running past them, but it's not consistent enough.
Right.
For me, I thought he was after the end of 23. I thought he's going to slot into a guy who only starts like 5-10 games a year, but is what was one of your first names off the bench because he can run at tired people in the 70th minute, and it's kind of an asshole move to be, oh, you're tired. Here's Edwin.
Yes, exactly.
Man, I'd have to look at the whole Quentin's probably gone. I think Quentin might be done.
Yeah, but if he's in concussion protocol or whatever,
And Quentin might be like Quentin's getting up there in age too.
Yeah. And for public record, the second highest number of matches played for Miranchuk, other than attacking midfielder, has been right wing. So 233 appearances as an attacking midfielder, right winger, 60 matches.
Yeah, you invert him on the right wing and play him as a left-footed right winger who can cut in. You would end up doing the same with Saba on the other side, and then kind of let people move around as they see fit on the field. I'd have to look at the whole roster to see who you leave unprotected.
Tristan?
Yes.
Or, yeah. So,
Tristan, Abram. I think Abram for sure is one who you leave unprotected. You want one that's off the board. And this is not a personal opinion on their quality, as I think they get too much hate. Brooks. I don't know if you protect Brooks.
I was going to say Nick.
Well, Nick's out of contract.
That's true.
Shande would be unprotected. So Jamal's out of Jamal's got an option. But maybe you pick up the options, and then some of those guys you leave unprotected. So like Jamal is one of those. I'm assuming there's a lot you could go here. And I agree, Brooks has value. And I like Brooks, but you can only protect so many guys, and you gotta be strategic about this. This is like it's gonna be kind of tricky.
You've got your 25s. By the way, Quentin is 38. Yeah, Quentin Westbrook is 38. And he's also a 25. Shande's a 25. Luis is a 25. Brooks is a 25. Tristan's a 26. Edwin, with loans, etc., is a 26. And that puts you through with all the names that we've been discussing. So, I mean, there are some folks, unless you want to just be like, well, tell you what, here's some AM if you leave us alone or something like that. So there are some names out there that you can look at if you're Mikey Veras in San Diego, and look at what you're.
To your point, John, that is a thing that has happened before. Like you will get protection deals like that. I realize how shady that sounds.
Leave us alone. Here's some AM.
Yeah, that's happened in the league before, where you make that deal. You hey, here's some AM, here's a trade. You're not going to touch any of our players.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. We're good. Or you can do like Atlanta did in their expansion draft, where they traded for Clint Irwin and then basically held him ransom to Toronto.
You mean Atlanta United hero Clint Irwin? Legacy retiree Clint Irwin? Absolutely. No, I'm hero Clint Irwin for Atlanta United. So no, it's there will be some interesting decisions, but also but there will be some teams that will do the here's some AM leave us alone bit with Mikey Veras in San Diego. So
I don't even know if Brooks would be gone after this year. It's an interesting question for sure. Yes. And I like Brooks. I would like Brooks to stay. I think he gets I think he gets too much hate, and I think he's an easy target for a lot of that hate.
Yeah.
But I like what Brooks gives you at times. I want to see more of what he tried to do Wednesday night, where he plays that that cutback ball instead of like trying to whip that ball to the post.
Right.
You have the one that's kind of weird where he tries to play the cutback. I forget who it was from Miami, blocks it, and then kind of stumbles over it and tumbles through like a drunken mole. I want more of that from Brooks, especially as you have more talent in the midfield, and more goal dangerous players in the middle. I want more of that cutback ball.
Mm-hmm.
If it's Jamal or Daniel up top, yeah, you're going to take that shot because both of them are incredibly good in the air. Both of them are very big and powerful. But I liked the idea of that cutback ball, even though it gets cut out. And look, Miami did a really good job of like throwing themselves in front of stuff.
Yeah.
I think they only registered like 2 or 3 blocked shots, but they blocked. I can think off the top of my head like 3 or 4 passes that they threw themselves in the way of, and just like Stanley Cup in the playoffs, throw your body in the way of the puck level, putting themselves out there to stop what would have been a key pass that might have set up the pass for the shot or would have set up the shot. They don't get registered as a blocked shot in the same way. But for me, those kind of plays have a similar importance.
Yeah.
And credit to Miami for like, look, man, this is one of the issues with like the Nashville game where Atlanta just kind of didn't show up.
Yeah.
Miami's going to lock up Supporters Shield, possibly.
Yeah.
And they were throwing their bodies around in a midweek game like they were fighting for a playoff spot. Now, credit, Atlanta fought Wednesday night. Wasn't always pretty. It was kind of stop and start, but they fought. But they needed to show that every night out. That's tough. That's why you pay your money to do it.
Yep, and Saba got a goal on Sally's birthday, and so that's always a good thing too. So, happy times inside the Lobjanidze household. And we'll get into weekend whip around now since we're pushing 10:30, and get into all of the other matches. Basically, what we'll do is we'll play cliffhanger. Obviously, we'll save the discussion for Atlanta United and Red Bulls to the last. But rolling through all of the other games, like I said, we talked about them and got the early juice box look with Nico yesterday. But let's get into all of the other matches. And like I said, what was it? What is it? TIL. Today I learned, but it was was it last week that the reason that
the idea of John hanging out on Reddit learning random abbreviations is absolutely terrifying. Go on, carry on. I'm interested now.
Well, just the idea of was it TIL? Today I learned that when the juice box purveyors sit there and always listed Atlanta United first in a situation like what happened in the midweek is because Atlanta starts with the letter A. They are the first alphabetical home team. It has no bearing on a start time or a popular opinion. TIL. TIL, the juice box purveyors put Atlanta United as a home team first because they start with the letter A, not because they think they're real important or anything. If you have the same start times. 2 o'clock, and this is the interesting part of all of this involving Messi and friends. So Messi and friends did not go home after the match in the midweek. They stayed here. I believe they worked out at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta training ground. Then they flew. They're flying up today, I think, or they flew up last night. And they're going to Yankee Stadium. They are now favored on the road against NYC at a plus 138.
Well, NYC also got their skulls caved in by Philly over the weekend, or the midweek, excuse me.
And so NYC is a plus 162 at home, and Messi and friends are a plus 138 on the road at a 2 o'clock kick at Yankee Stadium. What say you, Jared Smith? Do you care?
No.
Well, then we'll keep going.
Messi and friends, gonna just do Messi and friends ish.
Yeah, and so we do have ref assignments. We'll go over those as well.
Oh boy.
Yes, looking for specific individuals to keep an eye on. Charlotte, who is doing the Oscar Pareja slow fade, only winning once.
I don't think that's fair to Oscar. I don't think Oscar ever faded as hard as Charlotte has. Charlotte has like 1 win since July.
Yeah.
In all competitions. Like, let me tell you about the problems in Charlotte. For they are plentiful.
Yeah.
Charlotte was cooking early in the season. They weren't scoring consistently. Ajimong is basically a physical weapon.
Freaking redwood.
Dude, I love him. Tall people stand up. But he hasn't scored enough, and they as a unit have not scored enough, which is, hey, I'll bet that's why they wanted to go get a number 10 at the deadline and tried like 3 different routes.
Yeah.
And then the one they got is kind of like we'll take a waiver on this guy, take a flyer on this guy, and just see what we can make happen. But buddy,
Uh-huh.
Yeah. They've gone from being a team that defends really well but can't score to a team that is now like defending only okay and can't score consistently. Yeah, buddy. Charlotte is on the fade. And yes, yeah, Bart, I like Brooks too. I mean, it's here's the I understand the XH quotient is the XH scale. You want to get weird, by the way? There's a certain right wing right fullback who plays in Houston, who used to play in Atlanta, who is a free agent in the offseason. If you want somebody to come in and who absolutely has that dog in them, almost to a destructive degree, in a certain Franco Escobar, playoff Franco is a free agent in the offseason. Also, I think my thing with Brooks is the fact that because this gets talked about. I don't know if it gets talked about enough when we talk about the expansion draft. I realize I'm derailing us here.
Nothing wrong. Well, it's Friday. What does it care?
That sometimes you put guys on the expansion draft knowing that you leave guys unprotected, knowing that whoever like the club coming in is not going to want to pay the money.
Yeah,
you know
like,
what I mean?
Like LAFC is probably going to put Vela on the expansion list.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what Brooks makes, but I wouldn't be surprised if like you put Brooks on the like you might. I don't know. That depends on how much he's making, but maybe you leave him unprotected if he's making a certain amount because you're like, well, they're going to feel like they can go get a right back maybe for less money, and that's not the investment they want to make.
Right.
That kind of thing. Sometimes you leave guys unprotected who are making a ton of money, because it might not be the contract that someone's willing to pay. So it can be kind of tricky anyway.
Yes. To answer your question, Brooks Lennon, according to the MLSPA release, 740 base and guaranteed. That's what his number is, $740,000.
Yeah, like would San Diego, and San Diego is going to be in a unique situation because, as you know, expansion teams do have more money to play with. Would they want to pay $740,000? They'll have extra money to play with.
Yeah.
Would they be willing to spend that money? Yeah. That remains to be seen.
Yes. Other matchups on the board, starting your 7:37:40s. CF Montreal at Stade Saputo, a +160 hosting the Fire. Crew -133 hosting the Purple Team at a +.
That's man. Purple Team. We might actually have to put some respect on their name because Purple Team has won their last 3 games by a combined score of 8-0.
Oh wow.
Purple Team wrapped some barbed wire around the baseball bat and decided to go to the park.
Wow.
They've been very good.
They've been Cactus Jack all of a sudden.
Yeah, man. The Purple Team is not screwing around out here.
No, not this season. We've got one more at 7:40. We'll talk about them last. 8:40s, Copa Tejas. Austin FC is a dog at home at Q2 to Houston. Houston's a +150. Austin FC is a +175. And there's a lot of folks in town that wished it for the second year in a row to be the end of the Josh Wolf experiment. FC Dallas, a dog at home to LAFC. LAFC is a +133. FC Dallas is a +181. Nashville at home is a dog to FC Cincinnati at a +192. FC Cincinnati is a +137. The other 840 Sporting is a -106 hosting the Loons. The Loons are a +2.5.
Loons are also on they're not on full fraud watch, but they are on like I am giving them. They are on side eye watch.
I was going to say they're on side eye watch.
Loons are kind of getting the side eye right now. Austin's interesting. Don't know if y'all saw after the midweek game, but apparently Sebastian Matt Doyle had it. That Sebastian Druisi, it seems like he might be. Sebastian Druisi might be done.
He's over it.
He might be sick of it all. over in Austin, Texas. Because he's out there retweeting folks saying, fire Josh Wolf and trade Sebastian Juicy.
He's like, yeah, repost.
Yeah. I'm going to call it. You can call whatever the hell you want. It's a retweet to me.
It's a retweet.
Hey, look, grumpy ass South African wannabe Tony Stark can rename and rebrand whatever the hell he wants, like a 12-year-old edgy kid, and rename your whole damn app. I don't care. It's still going to be the dead bird. It's still going to be Twitter. It's still going to be a retweet for me. You can call it whatever you want.
Yeah. I'm right there with you.
I don't care.
Yeah, because you've already set this bet up, so we're going to stay in it.
Yeah.
940s Colorado hosting Toronto at a -141. Toronto FC is a +338. RSL is a -127 hosting Portland, who's a +279. Take Portland or take the over at probably like 4.5.
Yeah, Portland might have the MVP.
Yeah.
Evander's going to end up with 20 assists this year. Despite Taylor Twellman towing the damn company line, when like you're looking at the numbers, he's like, Messi's the MVP. Son, listen, I know you're getting, where you're getting your checks from. It's fine.
Yes.
I know you're going to prop up people.
Mm-hmm.
No. Messi missed a big chunk of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Evander's going to end up with 20 assists.
But by all means, make Messi the MVP.
Like, old boy in DC, Benteke is might end up winning the damn Golden Boot. Like, I got options other than Messi.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, shoot, Suarez before Messi. With what Suarez has been doing with Messi being gone.
Yeah. If
you're going to send somebody from Messi and friends, make it an and friend and make it Suarez. Take the over in RSL in Portland and see if you can get it at 3.5 or 4.5, wherever it changes from a minus to a plus.
Yeah, and call it whatever. I mean, I'm not even considering Suarez either personally. Like, there have been better players. Like Chicho Arango is absolutely doing the Lord's work this year. Over in Salt Lake, there are better options than Messi, who, yes, he's Messi. I understand his name carries cachet. He's also missed a chunk of the season, and I got guys who are balling out in this league who have, for my money, have earned it.
Yep.
So he's down on my list.
Yes. Also at the 1040s, LAG hosting Vancouver. At a -125, Vancouver's a +291. I probably would once again take the total in that situation.
Yeah, probably.
And see if you can find, say, a 3.5 or a 4.5.
Vancouver's fun. Galaxy might be the best team in the West. They're more fun.
Yes. And last Saturday game on the board, San Jose is hosting all caps. San Jose is a slight favorite at home at a +143. All caps are a +156 on the road. The one game on Sunday is Philly and DC. Philly is a -119 at home against DC, and your gentleman Christian Benteke, the Belgian breadloaf, at a +271, and draw is a +305. I'm thinking that there might be some skulls cracked in that one.
Yes.
And DC at a +271. Shoot, man, that might be worth some. That might be worth some juice box consideration, or even the +305 on the draw.
Yeah,
especially on the quick turn.
We'll see. Yeah, well, we'll just have to see, man.
Yes, we will. Yes.
San Jose still gonna always be weird. Forever and ever, amen.
Yes.
So there's that.
Yes. All right. So Atlanta United and Red Bulls. Last game on the board because I pulled it to the bottom of the page. And it is 7:40 start. Mike and Jason, your pregame show at 6:30 and kick at 7:40 with Red Bulls and Atlanta United. Red Bulls on the minus side at a -143. Draw is a +308. Atlanta United is a +351 in the composite, courtesy of our friends at Odds Portal. Looking at totals, just to kind of put that out there. Minus 530 for 1.5. 2.5 a minus 155. 3.5 is, well, technically 3 is where it flips to a plus 106. 3.5 is a plus 159. The under at 3.5 is a minus 207.
Look, it's been a house of horrors for Atlanta. It has been for years. I am inclined to think that.
Oh, crap.
What happened?
Abby's question, and I have the answer.
Oh, Tim Ford?
Close. Penso.
We'll see. We'll see how much that matters.
Penso in the middle, Jeffrey Schwartzel, Brian Dunn, Guido Gonzalez Jr. is your fourth, Carol Ann Chenard is your VAR, Mike Kampminer is your AVAR. Continue.
We'll see. We'll see how much it matters. Like Penso just has a quick trigger. Tim Ford is objectively bad. Has been objectively bad at his job in big moments. I think Penso is not as much of a. He's not a good ref. I just think he pulls the trigger really quickly sometimes.
A little anxious.
You've got to be up for it, and there's no reason not to be. Yeah, you've got to be up for just the beatdown that this game will be physically. It's going to be demanding. It's going to not going to be fun to watch. Probably it's not going to be fun to play in. Probably, but you got to find a way to get something out of it. Last year you got your ass beat up there.
Yeah.
And you're going to get chances. You have to take them. Red Bulls are kind of weird in the sense that so I say Red Bulls are kind of weird because early in the season, Red Bulls looked like they were out there turning over a new leaf. Emil Forsberg changed so much about them.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't been good since Emil Forsberg got hurt.
Correct.
Straight up have not been good. What can they do about it? What can they show you? We'll find out. They've kind of always had Atlanta's number. Remember, Atlanta has 2 career wins against Red Bulls. One of them was the funniest of all time in the playoffs. Another one was last year at home, where it felt like you just did an Indiana Jones level, jump across the snake pits and make it work kind of thing.
I hate snakes.
Why did it have to be snakes? So I don't know, man. We'll see. God bless Saba for Saba's ability to just run until he's going to die.
Yes.
You're going to need that from Saba on short rest, but you're also going to need Saba to be super dangerous Saba. You're also going to need Saba to be the guy who can make a difference in the game. That's going to be tough. We'll see. You need him to be that kind of guy who shows up and is capable of putting up a brace. Yeah, we could just try winning the game. They could.
Yeah, there's
we'll see. That. It's always going to be ugly.
Mm-hmm.
You know what you're getting into, so I don't know, man. Don't be surprised. Don't sit here and give me the I guess don't give me the the surprise Pikachu meme of it's a street fight. It's always been a street, buddy. It's always been a street fight. They're a different team without Emil Forsberg.
Yeah,
you're a different team with Miranchuk, especially got first goal. It's out of his system. Settle in. Go do some stuff, kids.
Yeah.
And go fight. My complaint for almost the last calendar week about your lack of fight, it's going to kind of matter now because now you're playing a team that is going to try and fight you. You should go fight them now.
Yes. So that's what you're staring at. Once again, pregame show is 6:30, kickoff 7:40. and it'll be a full hour of the full-time report after the fact as they all head to Harrison, New Jersey. And hopefully any of you who go, any 17s who go, will have better luck finding an Uber than the boss and I did when we went up last year.
Oh, that was hilarious.
For my birthday.
I mean, it's hilarious because you didn't die, but
yeah, especially when you had that car coming right at me as I'm in the back seat, and Mr. Magoo is driving us onto the freeway trying to get us back home, and there's this car screaming right at me at like 90 miles an hour as he's taking 12 miles an hour to turn left to get onto the freeway. That was fantastic. Morning forecast. Running down the officials and what to expect for the other matchups. John Freeman, no relation, is got the early game at Yankee Stadium against Messi and friends. Corey Rockwell is your AR number 1. Kevin Stott is your VAR. Charlotte and the Revs at 4. Mark Allerton is the man in the middle. Ted Unkel is your 4th. Greg Dopka is your VAR. Crew and the purple team, Sergei Boyko is the man in the middle. Interesting. Or Kevin Stott. No, wait, no, it was the other dude. Sergei Boyko is the man in the middle for Crew and purple team. Fotis Bazakis is your 4th. Kevin Stott is your VAR. For CF Montreal and Chicago, Lucas Zapala is the man in the middle. Marcus de Oliveira is your 4th, and Ismail Elfath is your VAR. We mentioned that it's Chris Penso is your man in the middle. Guido Gonzalez Jr. is your 4th. Caroline Chenard is your VAR. And Austin FC and Houston Dynamo, Copa Tejas have Victor Rivas in the middle. Timothy Ford is your 4th. At least all he has to do is hold up a board. Eunice Marakchi is your VAR at Q2. It is FC Dallas and LAFC. Alexis De Silva is the man in the middle. Rubiel Vasquez is your 4th. Edvin Jurasevich is your VAR. Sporting and Loons, Izmir Pekmic is the man in the middle. Rosendo Mendoza is your 4th. Greg Dopka is your VAR. Nashville and Cincinnati. Pierre-Luc Lazier is the man in the middle. Sergei Demyanchuk is your 4th. Jorge Gonzalez is your VAR. TJ Zablocki is your AVAR. Colorado and Toronto. Rosendo Mendoza is the man in the middle there. And it is Matt Thompson is your 4th. Kevin Terry Jr. is your VAR. Rosendo Mendoza, wait a second. How is that possible? How is that physically possible? So Rosendo Mendoza is listed by Pro as the 4th at Sporting and Minnesota United at 8:30. He's also the man in the middle for Colorado and Toronto at 9:30.
Good job, Pro.
Has Rosendo Mendoza been able to do some
gene splicing?
Yeah, gene splicing and atom splitting. Do we know of this? Do we know is Pro dealing in multiplicity now?
They've got the multiverse unlocked. Rosendo Mendoza is the anchor being for our universe, which is wild to think about.
So he's the 4th in Kansas City at 8:30, but the man in the middle for 9:30 at Children's Healthcare, the Dick's Sporting Goods Park at 9:30. So what does he leave? Does he leave at like the 20-minute mark and hop the flight and go out there and hang out with the prairie dogs? I want to know how this is handled. David got my multiplicity reference. How do you have Rosendo Mendoza as your 4th in Kansas City, and then an hour later he's the man in the middle with the prairie dogs in Commerce City, Colorado? How do you make this happen? And which one of these universes is correct? Damn, son.
I still like to think I still operate under the assumption we've been living in different universes since they fired up a Large Hadron Collider.
Oh man. Well, that like I said, I am just reading what Pro has on their website. I don't know what the adjustments are. I don't know if there have been adjustments or if they have in fact gene spliced Rosendo Mendoza. And now going forward, if we look at Rosendo Mendoza's performances as both a 4th and a center ref, which one Rosendo Mendoza are we getting? Which Rosendo Mendoza did we get in the midweek? Which one, or the weekend? Last time he was here, where is that Rosendo Mendoza? Is he going to be the one in Kansas City, or is he going to be the one with the Prairie Dogs in Commerce City, Colorado? I have questions. I'm just asking.
Yeah, someone typed incorrectly, but we're going to have fun with it because it's Pro.
Yes. RSL in Portland. Tori Penso's in the middle. Oh, cool. Tori Penso, Brooke Mayo, Catherine Nesbitt, your ref and your ARs. Dig it. Drew Fisher is your fourth. David Barry. Oh, well, Tori Penso has to put up with David Barry as your VAR. So that hopefully there will not be any interesting moments that Tori Penso and David Barry have a disagreement. LA and Vancouver. Jair Marufo in the middle. And Remy Touchon is your fourth. Soren Stoichka is your VAR. And San Jose in all caps. Ricardo Montero is the man in the middle. Nick Uranga is your AR number 2. Alan Chapman is your fourth. Caroline Chenard is your VAR. Philip Dujic gets the Saturday-Sunday treatment. He gets to go to Subaru Park, and he's the man in the middle for Philly and D.C. Eunice Marakchi is your VAR with Joshua Patlak is your AVAR. So that's your rundown of who is who and where is who when it comes to the folks in the middle that are carrying flags and whistles and have earpieces so they can converse with one another. Forecard says we're living between two timelines.
It's fine by me.
So, look, as long as the timeline agrees with what we're trying to do, then I'm cool with everything.
But that's never really going to be up for success. So we'll see.
Hey, bite your tongue. All right, time to say hi to everybody, especially during the time where I was silent, and it was probably an improvement to the show. Just ask folks. Morning, Brandon. Morning, Alex. Morning, Michael. Let's see. Morning, Abby. And let's see, continuing mornings with Alex's and Brandon. And let's see who else is here. That's when I figured it out finally. I had to wake up the IT department. Michael, you're not wrong. And when the IT department is somebody other than me, then that's definitely a problem. Morning, Bart. Bart, thank you for teaching yellow cards aren't bad. Too many kids taught their reprimands similar to taking the Xbox away in our conversation that we had with Greg Garza. Let's see. Morning, David. And morning, Unk. That we got into the expansion draft discussion. Morning. Oh, wow. Check that. Greetings to Sydney. And it's other than BAM. The Sydney 17's checking in this morning. So it's probably 12. It's got to be like
it's like late night.
Yeah, it's like 12:20 in the morning. So they should be getting ready for the Final Four in the footy. So we can't watching that when we get home.
The grand finale?
We are, I believe, 2 weeks away from that. We are in the Final Four going into this weekend. Nice. Where they have like preliminary finals and then like second chances, and then now we're into the Final Four of the Final Four. So I think the grand final is next weekend. So we'll see how many of us are staying up late. Morning, David. Morning, Forecard. And we are officially caught up with folks that are up and around. News this morning as we get you ready for the weekend. Vincent Kompany, who is coaching a team that is, having to play a lot of games because they're really good. Vincent Kompany is saying that there should be a cap on the number of matches players should be available to play. Cap the number of games a player can play to reduce the workload. From our friends at Agence France Presse. Bayern Munich coach Vincent Kompany and his Bayer Leverkusen counterpart Xabi Alonso said today they joined the growing chorus calling for action on player workload amid talks of strikes. Kompany said a cap should be introduced on the amount of games a player can play each year. Alonso said players must have greater involvement in decisions about the fixture calendar. Concern about the load on players has grown in recent years. This year's Champions League adds fixtures while FIFA's expanded Club World Cup will take place this summer, a time when players would normally have a break from games. We've got Club World Cup news coming up in just a bit. Top clubs with European and domestic cup commitments could play up to 75 matches this year. At a press conference ahead of his trip to Werder Bremen, Kompany said it was already a theme during his playing career. Labeled it an important topic. To play 75 or 80 games, it gets to a point where it's not realistic anymore. Solution I've always wanted is to put a cap on the amount of games a player can play as an individual. Put a compulsory period of holidays for players. Rodri, who went third person in his press conference discussing it, so it's $1 in the jar, said it's the general opinion of the players is that they are close to a strike. Alisson, Thibaut Courtois, Leverkusen, Alisson, Courtois, and Rodri all saying that they're close. Before Leverkusen hosts Wolfsburg, Xabi Alonso said, I understand Rodri and the other players. Professional players must be involved in these decisions because we want to see good football. Schedule's very tight. They have to be heard. So Vincent Kompany is proposing a cap on the amount of matches that a player should play. company promised squad rotations in the coming weeks as he manages midweek football commitments. And so the goalie was subbed off at halftime in the 9-2 win over Dinamo Zagreb after Manuel Neuer fell on his back. So that's what you're also getting into if you are Vincent Kompany. But a cap on the number of matches a player plays in any given year, Jared. So that's players are threatening strikes. Folks are sitting there going, maybe we should just put a cap on things.
Maybe.
I think, what was it, Rodri, who said 50 to 60, somewhere in there, 40 to 50, I think he said was peak. And then that's what he's thinking. So what I would say, 40 to 50, somewhere in there, because, I mean, even if you think about what a full schedule, let's just say a full schedule Major League Soccer is 34. Then you've got what?
It's 36 to 38 in some places, but then you've got multiple cups, international games. It gets really complicated very quickly.
So
it gets very
50,
busy.
so.
It gets north of. You're north of 50.
Yeah,
that's the bottom line here.
Yeah,
you are north of 50 games
here. Yeah, I mean,
no, in Europe too.
Well,
because if you start making cup runs, you get north of 50 games real quick.
Yeah. So if you are in the Prem,
maybe that's why Chelsea put 110 people on their roster.
For real. So you've got 38 in the Prem. You've got FA Cup, which could mean another, say, 6. You've got Gummy Bear Cup, which could be another 3 or 4 because they bring you in late. So that's 40. That's 46. Then you have your other competitions. And so now you have 8 available to you if you're really good and you're now in this Swiss system of the Champions League. And so that would give you, 18 and 38 is 56. Club World Cup, God knows how many matches you'd be playing there, probably 4 or 5. So that gets you north of 60. So, yeah, you're picking up numbers really, really quick. And it is all over the place when it comes to the number of matches. And, the players are like, well, we'd like to be consulted with this kind of thing. But apparently that ain't going to happen anytime soon.
No, it's not. It's not one things.
Yes. Club World Cup. I mentioned the Club World Cup. And apparently, because of the lack of TV interest, the lack of rights holders wanting to sit there and go, well, we're just not that into you. Apparently, there has been an emergency meeting called, according to Matt Crafton, over at the Athletic/NY Times, where our buddy Gianni Infantino is kind of like, well, I'd kind of like to have a rights holder here, and it ain't looking all that good right now for a rights holder, where you've got to have emergency meetings with all of your rights holders to sit there and go, I'd kind of like to have I'd kind of like to have somebody be a rights holder for this thing, and everybody's like, nah, not really interested. So I will be intrigued if to see where Adam Crafton and the Club World Cup end up going from here. I'm like, I don't know, man. Are we to the point to where TV properties are like saturated?
Well, it's the same. Well, we have the same problem across all sports, though, where it's like you need to have like 5 different streaming services to watch what you want. You already have to have like 5 different ones to watch every baseball game. You need to have like 4 or 5 different ones for you have to have 5 different ones for NFL. Fox, CBS, Amazon, ESPN, NBC.
Yep. Peacock, yeah.
Well, whatever.
Yeah, the NBC overlord, Peacock, yeah.
Call it what you will.
Yeah, I mean, so let's see. What do we have here in the house? We've got ESPN, Prime, Paramount Plus. We've got Netflix. I'm waiting for them to get into sports. Oh, crap. That reminds me, on Prime, the Tragically Hip documentary came out today. All right. So we've got ESPN. We got ESPN Plus. We got cable we got cable to start things off with the Super Hyper Mega Cable Sports package and the Spanish package. So that way we can watch Nuestra Tele, Fox Deportes, ESPN Deportes, etc. Telemundo, TUDN. I've got all that on cable. I've got Paramount Plus, Peacock, Prime, Fanatis. What am I missing? I know I'm missing something. So we are fairly we are fairly streamed in this household. We have the boatload of folks. How many streaming services do you have that are tied to sports?
Let's see. We've got NBC. So Peacock, whatever the hell you want to call it.
Yeah, NBC.
I'm actually due to pick up Paramount again for Champions League, which is the only reason I ever have Paramount.
Yeah.
Amazon, ESPN Plus,
and you duck in and you duck out. That's what you do. It's like you just get it monthly for Champions League, and then you're done.
Yeah, basically, that's all there is to it.
And then they try to come back. It's like, come on back, we'll give you a deal.
So yeah, man, it's too much. It really is. There's too much going on. Yeah, it's gonna be one of those things, like with baseball specifically. I know we have the issue of there's too much going on, and it's impossible to watch games because it's frequently kind of the joke of, God, why can't we just go back to watching games on TBS?
Mm-hmm.
Joke's on you. Playoff games will be on TBS, but even playoff games aren't simplified enough because you got some on TBS, some on Fox. ESPN might grab some. Hell, I don't know. I will recommend what I did last year, which is wait for Black Friday. Because last year I got like a year of Peacock for like $18.
Yes.
So wait for the Black Friday streaming deals to hit. You no longer have to go stand in a Walmart line for Black Friday. If you just wait for the streaming deals to hit, you can pick those up.
Mm-hmm. We got our announcer assignments for what is going to be happening for season pass. Jake and TT are shockingly calling Messi and friends at NYC. They get the early game on Saturday. It is Neil Sika, Lloyd Sam for the Revs and Charlotte. 7:30, 7:40s. Kanji and Danny are in Columbus for Orlando and Crew. Krakauer and Annie Baba are in Montreal for Chicago and FC Montreal. Callum and Kalen are going to be at Red Bull Arena calling Atlanta United and Red Bulls. It is Rogo and Heath Pierce in Austin for Copa Tejas. Tyler and Kendra are at LAFC and FC Dallas. Nate Bacady gets a home game with Lori Lindsay calling Sporting hosting the Loons. Tony Husband, Ross Smith. Tony gets a home game. Tony and Ross get a home game. Nashville and FC Cincinnati. Christian Miles, Devin Kerr for Colorado and Toronto. Max Bretos, Max and Dunny are in RSL. So Dunny gets a home game. Max comes to Rio Tinto for the Portland match. And Keith and Mo get a home game for LA and Vancouver. Blake Price, Paul Dolan travel south of the border for San Jose and All Caps. Nate Bacady, Lori Lindsay will get the doubleheader. So they get the 8:30 game Saturday night, and then they get the 6:15 game with Philadelphia and DC. So that's your announcer assignments as recently posted by MLS Communications at MLS_PR for those of you that wish to follow along on the Twitter. So, David, is the Club World Cup marketed well? Not really.
No, it's not. Short answer, it's not.
Nope. Almost feel like this is a bit like the old argument on women's sports: make it available straightforward and market it and see how it plays. But
it's just what they'd be expecting.
Yeah.
So, well,
yeah,
they don't do that. We don't do that here.
No. Adam Crafton says multiple industry sources who spoke anonymously to protect business relationships say the president's personal involvement, meaning Infantino. President's personal involvement signifies the level of concern that has gripped the organization before the inaugural revamped 32-team Club World Cup. Remember, it's 32 teams now. It's not just like the party of 8 like it was before. Scheduled to take place here in the U.S. in June and July, from middle June to middle July of next year. FIFA yet to announce broadcasters, venues, training bases, or sponsors. 9 months away. Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Man City, PSG, and Chelsea are also yet to be told formally the participation money or prize money that will be available to the competition. The Athletic has been told Europe's biggest clubs have budgeted for an anticipated windfall in excess of $50 million, and in some cases significantly more, yet it is increasingly unclear how FIFA will fund this, and that's Crafton's words. FIFA previously in discussions with Apple over a global streaming deal to broadcast the tournament, but the deal was not completed. meaning FIFA had to open up the tender in July of this year, 2 months ago, to attract broadcast sponsors from around the world to take on the first two editions of the Club World Cup in 25 and 29. FIFA is still yet to announce any deals. Sources within the broadcast industry stating FIFA's financial expectations are wildly different to the value currently perceived by TV networks and streaming platforms, with the final weeks of the tournament also clashing with big-ticket events, including the Women's Euro and Wimbledon next summer. Broadcasters have misgivings over the audience's familiarity with the Club World Cup. Also, there are concerns that some of the world's most popular teams, Manchester United, Arsenal, Liverpool, Barca, AC Milan, have failed to qualify for the competition. Al Nassr have also not qualified, while the involvement of Lionel Messi's Inter Miami is in the balance, with FIFA still to announce how it plans to allocate the final host place for the tournament. Expectation is it will go to the winners of this season's MLS Cup. Wild card. Messi and friends. I still think that wild card is going to go to Messi and friends, especially if it is not.
If they don't win the cup, yeah, it's obvious. It's a marketing game. This is a television show.
It is a television show.
Y'all can call it whatever you want and complain whatever you want about whether or not Miami deserves it, and they've been great. Don't get me wrong, but ultimately, even if they didn't win the Shield, didn't win the cup, let's say they got hammered in the first round. It's still a television show, and they care who tunes in, and people tune in for Messi.
Correct.
So they're gonna take him forever and ever. Amen.
This week, The Athletic asked David Burson, the president of CEO of CBS Sports, whether it is looking at the Club World Cup, given it already has a $1.5 billion deal over the next 6 years to broadcast UEFA competitions, Champions League, Europa League, Conference League, as well as Serie A and the EFL. Burson, quote, "We will look at all the properties that come up. I'm not trying to avoid it, but it's going to be on a case-by-case basis on the value of that. Reality is we now have marquee European football content almost all year long, so we have to see what the incremental value is for that period of time. And I'll tell you, the new format for UEFA club competitions is even longer. It's close to 50% or so for more matches. More of the big teams against each other, a lot of volume there, determining whether or not the incremental content that you're referring to would be worthwhile and add value, but we're thrilled with the portfolio that we have." Infantino is now holding a briefing call for global broadcast execs today, is when it's scheduled, joined by PSG President Nasser Al-Khelaifi, who will be present in his role as the chairman of the European Clubs Association. ECA is essentially a lobbying organization representing the interests of the clubs who compete regularly in UEFA club competitions. ECA previously signed a memorandum of understanding with FIFA back in March of 23, after which Al-Khelaifi said FIFA and ECA will now establish closer working practices on a future new Club World Cup. Blah, 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 blah. Close collaboration, Infantino said, with clubs in Europe and the rest of the world will be essential for the success of those events. 18 months on, according to Crafton, clubs have been profoundly frustrated by FIFA, appearing to seek to do much of the work in-house without informing them regularly of the process or what to expect when the tournament comes around. Al-Khelaifi's presence at the call on Friday is an indication FIFA is now attempting to bring the clubs into the room after failing so far to strike necessary deals. So this is Adam Crafton over at The Athletic, which is now nytimes.com, and then they do a hashtag athletic, et cetera, et cetera. So the Club World Cup, for those of you that might be interested, don't know where it's going to be, and we are 9 months out. Don't know who's broadcasting it. Don't know where the venues are. Here at Office HD HQ and SDH HQ, all we got to do is go 8 miles behind us, 8 miles to the west. You got a venue. I don't think it'll be hard to get that one filled. And just have to coordinate it with all the folks that are down there. So intriguing at the very least about the Club World Cup and seeing where things are, what they are, and who's going to be doing what and who's going to be doing what where. So keep an eye on the Club World Cup and what is going to be happening over the next 9 months. According to, once again, The Athletic, the FA and U.S. Soccer are in talks to stage an international friendly between England and the men's national team before the Men's World Cup in 26. MJ Shrimper and Adam Crafton have the news on that. And that's another one. I have a subscription to the Athletic. I have to remember to get rid of it by the end of the year because I didn't get rid of it at the renewal time and they got me for the full price. Traditionally, I don't go full price for the Athletic. I don't think that I like the Athletic for their international stuff. I'm liking it more and more for their international stuff. I don't read it for the domestic, but perhaps maybe a subscription to NY Times and getting the Athletic loop around would probably be helpful there when it comes to all of that. All right. So we talk about what's going on in the Premier League this weekend. A lot of matches to keep an eye on. And the biggest one, obviously, is Manchester City and Arsenal. Kevin De Bruyne was injured over the Champions League match this past time. No word on him and what it's going to look like for him. We'll check the sources coming up in just a bit. Busy day, 8 matches on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. Manchester City and Arsenal is your marquee matchup, 11:30 on Sunday morning. West Ham and Chelsea. Chelsea favored on the road. Aston Villa big favorite at home against Wolves. Fulham a slight home dog hosting Newcastle at Craven Cottage. Leicester a home favorite against Everton. Sean Dyche was having to refute stories about him having a buyout already. Liverpool, big favorite at home against Bournemouth. Southampton, favored at home against Ipswich. Tottenham, a big favorite at home against Brentford. Crystal Palace, a dog at home at Selhurst Park against Manchester United. Brighton, favored at home against Nottingham Forest. Manchester City, favored at home at a minus 119 against Arsenal. Arsenal is a plus 362. So, intriguing stuff there when it comes to the weekend. It is the return of the Women's Super League. So keep an eye on that. And checking, I'm trying to see gossip, rumor, and innuendo and see if there's anything out there. Manchester City, the thought is, how would they set up if they do not have Kevin De Bruyne in the lineup? So you have Foden, Grealish, and Gundogan all could start. And so you got to keep an eye on that. Once again, fix your fantasy teams and see how it all shapes up with all of them folks, and see how. So it's a hamstring injury that he was sidelined with till the beginning of the 24 season. Regular so far this year. Left after feeling discomfort in the first half. Apparently he grabbed his groin, grimacing on the pitch, replaced by Gundogan. So Pep said at his press conference, asked about De Bruyne, he's like, and this was midweek, hadn't spoken with doctors yet. More information when he does. Assess him on Thursday. Look into the future for City. You wonder what it's going to look like. And is it now going to be Phil Foden? So it could be Gundogan, Foden, Grealish, Nunez, Silva, Kovacic, and maybe Oscar Bob to be a part of the layout there. And we'll see what it looks like for Manchester City. Let's roll through the papers and kind of see what's going on, see if there was anything that we missed early this morning. Let's see if there's any updates, and then we'll go to gossip, rumor, and innuendo, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it, all of that stuff. Chelsea have applied for an agent's multi-million-pound lawsuit to be thrown out of court. The club believes that Saif Al-Rubi's claim has been incorrectly filed, that Kurt Zuma's transfer dispute should be arbitrated. That comes from Matt Law at our friends at The Telegraph, as you're keeping an eye on that. Let's see. We mentioned all the fun with Manchester City and what they could be in store for. Steve Cooper and all the stuff that he could be in store for. No word yet from the PGMOL about any kind of finger wag and or envelope or fine for Steve Cooper, who's accusing the PGMOL of using false images in the matchup against in the decisions against Leicester. So, keep an eye on that and hold your breath if you're a Leicester fan. Sorry, Knicks, about all of that stuff. Let's see. Word out of Australia is Football Australia is scrambling to find a new coach for the next round of qualifiers. Graham Arnold stepped down as the Socceroos head coach with immediate effect on Friday. He'd been in dialogue with Football Australia this week, ironing out an exit strategy from a role he's held since 2018 and now resigned before their next game against China in October. The FA confirmed the news on Friday. Arnold said later it was time for a change. Bart We'll put a bookmark in that. We'll talk about it on Monday, about Graham Arnold and the Socceroos. So I know it's a little bit of an international thing, but I wanted to discuss that with you also as what we're staring at. We'll go over the results from the Champions League yesterday, and it looks like it's somewhat calm heading into the weekend when it comes to news. Obviously, a lot of folks are sitting there and looking at Manchester City and Arsenal on Sunday morning, our time anyway, as to what it's going to look like. Oh, yeah, we'll talk about this. From the Times. Matt Lawton, and when Matt Lawton has a byline, it's kind of like Rick Westhead. You don't want it. An England hooligan is banned after the first use of facial technology overseas. Josh Waugh, 34, who seriously assaulted a fellow England supporter. Why would you assault a fellow supporter? During the Euros in 2024, has received a 3-year banning order. Witness to the incident took a photo of Waugh, gave it to the police, and Waugh is staring right into that camera phone. Football hooligan seriously assaulted another fan, 3-year banning order after they used facial recognition technology. Left his victim with a broken jaw and a broken nose after England's group game against Serbia in Gelsenkirchen on June 16. Witness to the incident managed to take a photograph of Waugh, who also received an indefinite ban from the England Supporters Travel Club, passed it to police. Joint operation between the UK Football Policing Unit, Cheshire Police, their German counterparts. Officers then used retrospective facial recognition technology and SOLV, a mass messaging app that enabled him to identify the suspect. Image was used in a witness appeal used via SOLV. Got 54,000 hits. Helped the police who identify him. In total, 11 people who attended the tournament in Germany have so far been issued football banning orders. Another 3 cases due to be heard in court next week. Of those, 11 were identified via RFR, which compares still images of faces of unknown subjects against a reference image database. Waugh appeared in Middlesbrough Magistrates Court on Wednesday, while the German police have yet to take any action. Court agreed to the banning order. I'm just going to say this. A 3-year banning order after an assault, 3 years. I don't care. Josh Waugh should not be involved in any venue to see any match ever again, except the venue being his flat, and what he's watching comes across on the television. I'm guessing that he's lucky that all they had was that video evidence of the assault. And if you're punished to the highest extent of the law, I'm all for it. But when it comes to going to witness matches, nope, you're done. You want to use that facial technology to get him charged? Use the facial technology walking in the door. Josh Waugh does not need to be in any other venue seeing any other match ever, ever, ever again. Watch him from home, cowboy. Watch him from home. So good on him for having this technology. Good on him for finding out who it was. And the fact that you wanted to assault a fellow England supporter. We support the same team, but I don't like what you said, I'm guessing. And so Josh Waugh convicted of assault. Only a 3-year banning order. That's disappointing. Josh Waugh has no business being in any venue ever again. Ever again. But huzzahs on facial technology being used to find him out. And yeah, so that's a step, but still not big enough of a step to make sure that somebody is not allowed in any venue ever again because you felt compelled to assault a fellow supporter. You assaulted a fellow English supporter. What in the wide world of sports are you thinking? I'd love to know. But anyway, Manchester United's appointed Foster and Partners to develop an Old Trafford master plan. I find that interesting that the word master plan was used, considering that's an Oasis song. So you use a headline involving a Manchester City fan group or brothers who are fans of Manchester City in your headline involving Manchester United. I appreciate the irony in that. All right. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo. We'll get into that, and then we'll go what to watch, where to watch it, at least for Friday. Saturday, remember, Atlanta United, 7:30, 7:40 start, 7:30 on Apple TV. 6:30 is your kickoff for the pregame show with Abe and Garrett, 92.9 The Game on the Odyssey app. Mike and Jason have the call and a full hour of the full-time report afterward for Atlanta United and Red Bulls up north. Manchester United set to offer Kobe Mainoo a bumper new contract, according to Fabrizio Romano. Could move for Bayern Munich's Leon Goretzka with the futures of Christian Eriksen and Casemiro in doubt. Newcastle, Spurs, Manchester United all chasing Angel Gomez from Lille. He's out of contract at the end of the season. Remember the discussion we had yesterday with Nino about Victor Gyökeres? Spurs, Chelsea, PSG leading the race to get him from Sporting. Could be a bumper day if Sporting at the end of the season was to win the Portuguese Primeira Liga, and then they move Gyökeres on. I hope they slap a big price tag on it. Liverpool, Abby, good to see you. Liverpool considering Juve's Gleason at 27 as their ideal replacement for Virgil van Dijk. Newcastle monitoring 18-year-old Nordsjælland and Norway forward Sindre Walla Ejeli, dubbed the next Erling Haaland. West Ham, Crystal Palace, Brighton, Brentford also interested in the £25 million rated teenager. Liverpool monitoring Milos Kerkez from Bournemouth. Leverkusen's Jeremy Frimpong is on Chelsea's five-man shortlist to replace Reece James. Chelsea will not loan out 17-year-old winger Estevão Willian when he joins from Palmeiras next summer. Inter Milan wants to sign Arsenal's Tomiyasu in January. Gunners asking for £25 million. Manchester City eager to start talks with Ederson, with the Brazilian deal set to expire in the summer of 2026. Joelinton wants to end his career in his native Brazil, remains committed to the Magpies for now. Southampton's 18-year-old Tyler Dibbling on Manchester United's radar after impressing Dan Ashworth. What to watch, where to watch, how to watch it. If I could spell Soccer America, that's another subscription that I have that's attached to the sport. But yeah, I have Fanatis too, ftz.co/soccer down here. And then if you were to get soccer down, if you were to get Fanatis, you truly would be an absolute degenerate when it comes to what you watch. Back on camera in just a second. Got to try and where is it? There it is. Okay. Today, once again, there is a lot of college soccer going on. There's a lot of college soccer going on. So you have BN and BN in Espanol simulcasting Nice and Saint Etienne at 2:45. Once again, that's Ligue 1, and that's how I keep track of Caleb Wiley. Caleb Wiley right now was given the last match off at Strasbourg because of his return from international duty in the U20s, and so Caleb Wiley was not in the lineup for Strasbourg last week. But full disclosure, this is how I make sure that I'm keeping an eye on everything in Ligue 1 is through Fanatis. Once again, ftz.co/soccer down here gets you 15% off your purchase, and you get to keep an eye on Strasbourg, Caleb Wiley, and everything going on in Ligue 1. And well, right now, Strasbourg, middle of the table, and we are trying to plan some things involving our friends at Strasbourg, and hopefully we can make sure that we can get done what we want to get done with our friends from Strasbourg. Looking forward to hanging out and seeing what we can do, and as we keep an eye on Caleb Wiley and what Caleb is doing in Strasbourg and in Ligue 1. So yeah, that's how Abby had asked once before. He's like, how are you looking at Strasbourg? Well, it's through Fanatis. So once again, ftz.co/soccer down here. And that gets you into all of the activity. And I mean, they've got Fanatis. What does Fanatis have? They have a CDO Nuestro Tele for the fans, all the BNs, so you can get some Libertadores and Sudamericana, and you get to go and hang out. And I mean, they've added Liga 1 Max recently. And so you got all of that activity that's there. All right, the rest of Friday, looking at what to watch. Canadian Premier League on FS2 at 8. Once again, their regular season's winding down. York and Cavalry at 8 o'clock. ESPN Deportes at 3. Alaves and Sevilla. Fox Deportes at 2 is airing the league that we neither condone, endorse, nor support. 2 to NA. Atlas and Querétaro at 8:30. Amazon Prime, the NWSL match of the week, Kansas City and Washington. ESPN Plus has Belgian Pro League, Dutch Eredivisie at 2 o'clock, Bundesliga at 2:20, Bundesliga 2 at 12:30, Schalke and Darmstadt, and La Liga with Alaves and Sevilla at 3. Fox Soccer Plus has a doubleheader in the league that we neither condone, endorse, nor support. NWSL Plus has Bay FC Orlando Pride at 10:30. Paramount Plus very busy. Serie A weekend begins at 12:30. Cagliari, Empoli, Hellas Verona, Torino 2:45. Stoke City, Hull City at 3 o'clock in the championship, and that gets you through Friday. So that is what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it, and keep an eye on our friend Poppy Miller. We need to get Poppy back on the show, as a matter of fact. We need to see what's going on with her. All right, we are almost to 11:30. Once again, thanks to all of y'all for putting up with me troubleshooting for the first 7 minutes of silence on the show because, well, I'm an idiot. And so, keeping an eye on all of that stuff. And I fixed something. Holy crap, I actually fixed something. So that's all I know. And looking forward to seeing, how many of you make the trip to Red Bull Arena for Atlanta United and for Red Bulls. If you don't make the trip, you got all the college action going on. You've got all the lower division stuff going on. Go see a game and go support a team that you haven't had the chance to go watch. You want to go do something dayside so you can get ready for Atlanta United night side on Saturday? Do that. Go to a college game. Go to a lower division game. Find something there. Alex, I fixed it on the fly. He says I should be proud of myself. Well, I fixed it on silence. I would have felt better if we were all kind of workshopping and talking our way through it. Felt like I was having a conversation with myself, even though I was typing to the rest of you. So keeping an eye on all that stuff. But we'll be back, obviously, Monday morning. We'll go through everything. I want to ask Bart about Graham Arnold and the Socceroos. I want to ask Bart about what's going on in the world of international play with his beloved Arsenal and Manchester City. We'll probably end up talking about that on Monday morning. Abe will be in at 9:15. We'll discuss Atlanta United and Red Bulls. Bart will be in at 10. We'll have reffing down here, and that'll get us off and running for yet another week here on SDH. Thanks to all of you guys for coming in every single day and being a part of the Twitch pitch on the studio audience and all the different ways that we put things out and being a part of all of our great content. So once again, thanks for dropping by, being a part of things here at SDH on the morning show. Tonight, it is Amazing Creekside on GPB, so you'll see me wearing different clothing tonight, starting at 7:30 on GPB, gpb.org, and the GPB Sports app. High school football is already at the one-halfway mark of the regular season, 1/3 of the way through it all. So the sprint begins. Hell, who am I kidding? The sprint continues all across the board with football and football. Unc, as always, great to see you. Great to see everybody. We'll be back at it again, 9:05 Monday morning to take you through the weekend and talk about it all. And so now that means that since it is Friday, and there's only one thing that we do on Friday to wrap things up, we go with the long version before we're all out of here. So once again, thanks for being a part of things here on SDH. Be back at it again, 9:05 Monday morning. Play it safe, everybody. Enjoy your weekend.
War was on. The keys on the typewriter had sharp points that kept sticking into our fingers. The dictating equipment started asking us questions, and our beepers sent electric shocks just through our body like a cattle prod. Out in the warehouse, the trucks kept banging into the docks, not even thinking about stopping. Oh, our frail bodies were strapped to the chairs, and our chairs were chained to the desks. Our pleas for justice were ignored, and the end seemed near. But we busted our slave drivers' little bitty balls. We've charged out of their brick fortress. The streets are ours because it's Friday.